Alright, welcome back. So in this video we are going to start with actually writing Express and actually writing server-side code. So yeah, there's no more introduction to that. I've given all the introduction to Express in the last video. So in this one we can just simply start, right? Great. So first things first, I'm inside my web dev course folder, and here you'll see I have all the things that I had in a front end section. I've imported all of them. So you might not have some of these yet, including this readme.md and dstore. So you can ignore that for now because that is something that we'll see later. This is something that is automatically added when you do one thing, and that one thing we are not going to see yet. We are going to see that later. And this .git too, right? Alright, and this master too will not be present in your system until now. So all of this will appear at some later point of time. It was necessary for me to add all of those right now to actually get these back and put the new code that we're writing into the GitHub repository that I had shared with you, right? So that you can have access to that code now that we are running through Gurm. Yeah, so alright, so now we can start with Express. So first thing, we have all these folders. So now I need to add a new folder to this. So I'll make a new folder by the name of Express app, right? So now I have my Express app folder here. I can keep that open, and now I'll cd into that. Now I'll touch inside of this. So first thing inside of this, I'm going to do npm init, right? So package name will be Express app, version will be 1.0.0, description will be as it is, entry point will be app.js, and test command will be nothing. Git repository will be, I'll leave that for now. Keywords will be nothing. Author will be blank. Everything else blank. Just change that to app.js, right? So now inside this folder, I have my package.json. Great. Means my npm init has been done. Alright. So the next thing I can do is I can make a file app.js, and I can open that file alongside. Right. So yeah, the next thing that I need to do is install Express, right? So of course we're going to use Express in this. So we do need to get Express in our app, right? So for that I'll not do this, I'll do this. Yeah. First I'll clear, then I'll do npm i-s express. Then we'll wait for Express to get installed. And while that is being installed, yeah, it's done. So we see our node modules folder has been added here. It's not done, but our node modules has been added here. And if we see our package.json, we have our dependencies, which has Express 4.7.1. So you could check the version. It should be around same if you are working like through npm, or it will be the latest version. So of course it's not a problem, right? If you already had that installed and that's a really older version, then you might want to upgrade to version 4 point something. Else it's fine. It's no problem. If it's not the exact same, but if it's 4 point something, then it's great. Alright. So yeah, so now we have our app.js in here, and we can start building something out of this, right? So the first thing that we need to do, now we have installed a package, right? So of course, the first thing that we need to do is actually require that package in our own file. So I'll do var express is equal to require express, right? So this way in our express, we have all the things inside this express package, right? But you can't just use this right now because all that's returned from this is a function. So what you have to do is, and first off, this will be const. And you actually don't use var now, you can use let. I'll show you the usage at a later point of time. I've actually used some old syntaxes too to actually give you a better idea of what you might see sometimes, and like var is easier to understand when you're studying variables, right? But there have been newer things like ES6 is now really famous, and you will find like arrow functions and things like async await, which we'll see later, in a lot of places, and it will help you too, right? So they are just new syntaxes of writing things, nothing else. But I'll keep on introducing to you to new things as we move along, right? So now we've required express in our application. The next thing you can do is you can do const app is equal to, and this will be express, right? This, right? So this is basically a line because like of course these names could be anything. I hope you got that this express could be anything. This could be called ABCD, right? There's no problem. Same with this, there's no problem. But these are just the naming conventions that I follow and a lot of people follow. That require express is this, and when you call that function, it is this, right? So this is because from this require, we have got a function which when we execute, we get all our things inside this app. So now all the express features that we want to use are inside of this app constant, right? Right. So yeah, so the next thing we can do is actually start setting up the routes, right? So I'll like put comments in here so that it's better understandable. So this is to require and configure express, right? And before we do anything else, let's just set up the server. So setting up the server is basically done through app.listen, right? So I'll do app. So this function now takes two arguments. One is a number, is basically the port number on which you want to run your server, right? So if you remember, I had done something like 3000 in the app that I had shown you. But you can't simply do that here because this is running on Goom's computer, so you don't know which port they want you to run it on. So, I mean, this is not going to be localhost. You will get a proper URL for this. So you just need to write port, right? So yeah, I've cleared the console, and now what we can do is we can start setting up our routes, right? Right. All right. So now in the routes, there will be like a specific structure to what we're doing, right? The first thing will be app dot in all of the things, because we're going to use express to set up the routes. So of course it will be something inside the app, right? Great. So the next thing is the type of the request, right? So you can have a get request, you can have a put request, you can have a post request, you can have a delete request, you could have anything, right? So the first we'll do is get. So now this will be a function, and inside this we'll have two things, right? First will be like the URL which we're looking for. So if you just write slash, means you're looking for like your URL and then a slash, right? Having a slash or not having a slash after your URL in the end, right, does not make a difference. So app.get slash means that we are looking for the home page, and then here we do a function, right? And this function now has two arguments, rec, res. So what exactly is this rec res, right? Rec is basically request, and res is basically response, right? So you could name them anything you want, but the naming convention in the whole world is, I think, rec res, right? A lot of people name it as rec res, and that's why you will be habitual of naming it rec res, but it's no problem if you actually name it something else too, right? So rec is request and res is response. And as the name suggests, rec will have all the information relating to your request, and rest will have all the information relating to your response, right? So if you are passing something through this URL here, right, that will be in the URL itself will, like, if you are passing some parameters, we'll see what route parameters are just later. But if you are passing that will be in the rec, right? So a lot of things will be inside the rec. Everything relating to the request and where you've made the request, from where you've made the request. A lot of things will be in the rec, right? So we'll see the use of rec a lot as we move along, because there are a lot of things. If you're using a form, you need a rec. If you're passing route parameters, you need a rec. So rec is used in a lot of places. You will see its use later on too. But for now, you can just see that rec has all the information about the request. And rest similarly has all the information about the response. So for now, what we can simply do is, we can do rest.send hello, you hit the home route, right? So now if I run node app.js, it gives me server started, right? But one thing that if we see inside this project running URL and port, we see the port that it is running on is 3000, right? So we need to have 3000 here instead of process.env.port. So basically this is the port number on which our project will be running, which you can check from here, right? Great. And yeah, after this you can run your server. So you must have seen that I quit the server, then I made the changes, right? I could have made the changes while the server was running, but the changes are not reflected if the server is not restarted, right? So now I have to restart my server again. I'll do node app.js server restarted. So now I go to project, running URL and port. I copy this, I paste this in here, and I see I get my hello, you hit the home route. So what this rest.send did, it simply sent this text to the home route. So now when I go to slash, I get hello, you hit the home route. And I could also do like this would be rendered, but you will not see any difference right now. Why is that? That's because we have made the changes, we have saved the changes, but our server hasn't been restarted. So I'll do that. Server is started. Now if I go and I refresh, I see this becomes an H1. Means we can write HTML in here and that will be parsed as we want it to pass, right? So now our slash route has something working. Similarly, we could add another route, say hello, and obviously you'll need a slash after this, right? Then if you say slash say hello, then you have to give a callback, inside which you will say you will make an H1 in which you'll say hello. And to get these changes reflected, I'll have to restart my server. I'll actually give you like a good resource which will like restart your server by itself whenever you save your app.js file. But I'll introduce that in 1 or 2 videos so that you actually remember to restart the server if you're ever running on just node app.js. Right. So now I do this and I refresh the page, I will still get the same thing. But now if I go to slash say hello, I get hello. So means I've set up my hello route correctly, right? Now I could add one more route, the last one, right? Say goodbye. And inside this I could have recurrence. In which I'll do res.send h1 goodbye, and then I'll also do h3 Nice to meet you. Right. Now you might be wondering that are we going to write like our whole HTML in here? Of course we're not. We can like link HTML files inside of this, but that we'll see in some time. So now if I refresh, and of course I'll have to restart my server too. Right. So now if I refresh, I'll not see any change in this route. But if I go to say goodbye, I see goodbye, nice to meet you. So you can see we can add as many routes in here as we want. And like we will add post routes later because that requires to test using Postman and all. But right now you've seen like the basics of Express. You can do app.get slash and you can like you can get app.get, then you can give your URL, then you can give your callback inside which anything you want to do will be executed, right? And you could have a lot of lines in there. Say you needed to do some complex logic inside of this. So you could do that, and in the end you will return something using the res variable, right? So yeah, so this was basically like the basic of Express and how to use it, basic of routes, basic of setting up the server, which was this, right? And this is like how you could build a normal app. So I'll make an exercise not really different from this, which you'll have to make. And once you do that, then you'll be really comfortable with setting up these routes, right? And then we'll get to some better things than this, which will help us write much less routes than the ones we have now, right? And we'll see the use of that through a case study. Great. So yeah, so that's it for this video. I'll see you in